Hello and welcome to World of Tanks with Trapsikis. I'm featuring a replay from a very good friend of mine, ShadowRabbit. He belongs to SATR, South African Tank Regiment, which used to be my clan when I started this game. Now he's playing in the T34 85M. That's the Russian premium medium tank at tier 6. And it's recently undergone a buff where the ammunition was changed without changing the reload. So I believe the average damage was 160, it went up to 180. And the penetration also went up from 126 to 144, effectively making this tank, taking this tank from something you can ignore on the battlefield to something that you really have to be aware of, because this tank is really dangerous now. The frontal plate is only 75mm, but because of the angling, it can really bounce quite a lot of shells. Now he's playing on Serene Coast, and quite a lot of his team is going to the west, but they are neglecting the east, which usually ends in disaster. So let's hope this doesn't happen in this case. So ShadowRabbit and this Comet and the VK is pushing, and usually when you crest this ridgeline, you will be able to see quite a few of the enemies. Now in front of him, ShadowRabbit has a 112, which is a tier 8 heavy tank with quite significant armor. Now, one thing about this tank is it doesn't have a lot of gun depression, so there's a lot of times on the ridgelines that you do face a challenge. I like what he's doing here. He's not exposing a lot of his tank, but he is able to take shots at the Skoda. Unfortunately, at this range, you can't really snap with this gun. Very nice snapshot at the Church 7, but a low roll. Another 112 comes over the ridge, but we know this tank doesn't have a lot of gun depression. So ShadowRabbit is doing well at baiting him without providing with shots onto his own tank. He's also moving all the time to ensure the artillery doesn't get a shot at him. Unfortunately, that one went high and bounced on top of the turret. And now ShadowRabbit tracks him, keeping him in place for his team. Unfortunately, the lower plate on the 112 is about 140mm, so angled at all, the 144mm penetration of this tank should not be sufficient. Now you'll notice that ShadowRabbit shoots quite a bit of premium simply to get around that. I like what he's doing here. He keeps tracking the 112 in place, knowing that he doesn't have enough gun depression to shoot him in the positions that they are now. Unfortunately, the 112 manages to hit the viewfinder. However, ShadowRabbit doesn't lose any hit points in the process. Alright, very nice. Now ShadowRabbit immediately switches back to armor-piercing rounds, as it shouldn't be necessary for the other enemies left on this side of the map to shoot gold. Unfortunately, that one bounces on the Church 7. Second shot goes in. Slightly a high roll, but not high enough to finish him off. And there we go. Very nice shot. So, this ISU 152 seems to be unaware of ShadowRabbit. ShadowRabbit takes a blind shot at the Tiger, but it seems to dip. And then he takes a blind shot at the SU, but you can see it hit some of the building there, so highly likely that it didn't hit the SU. First shot at the VK misses. Second shot, he allows a bit more aiming time and does go in. Now this VK doesn't seem to know where he's getting shot from, so he just sits there waiting for another shell until he starts moving. Okay, we've got the ISU moving, and unfortunately we get a bounce. Now ShadowRabbit takes another shot which bounces again, so he aims higher, which should allow shells to enter a flatter piece of armor, and does prove to penetrate. Right, now personally at this stage I would switch to high explosive rounds, because the Hellcat is an open top TD. So HE rounds should do quite a bit more damage. I think the average damage on this tank is 300. But ShadowRabbit decides to stick with armor piercing and still finishes off the Hellcat. Now he has the side of the Tiger 1, which doesn't have very good armor, so especially from the side, ShadowRabbit should have no trouble penetrating. Unfortunately, that one bounces on the turret and the T32 finishes him off. A very nice result here. Let's have a quick look at the post-game stats. Ace Tanker, Bruiser, Fighter, 5 for effect, and Leberschleier's Medal, another one of those that was downgraded recently. I believe previously you had to kill 2 tanks 2 tiers higher, and at the moment you only have to kill 2 tiers 1 tank higher than your own. And high caliber for the total of 3000 damage done. If you look at the teams, base XP of 1351, which is very impressive, and total damage of 3000 to him. And if you look at the personal details, running a premium account, over 30,000 profit in credits despite shooting that amount of gold at the 112, and with his personal reserves he managed to rake in nearly 5,000 experience. Very well done, congratulations on this replay, and thank you for watching.